Hollywood encourages actors to be real, but the words and reality are often at odds. Some stars don't fade, they get edited out. In this episode, we're diving into the glittering graveyard of careers that vanished not from scandal, but from sincerity. These were the men who had it all: talent, charm, abs, and then disappeared faster than studio ethics during Pride Month. Buckle up. There are handsome men, and then there's Peter Porte. The kind of guy who looks like he was designed in a lab for romantic television. Chiseled jawline, effortless charm, the kind of smile that could sell both cologne and Christmas miracles. From The Young and the Restless to a parade of Hallmark romances, Peter was the golden boy of wholesome love stories, the perfect man who always showed up with perfect hair and a last-minute proposal. And then in 2018, he did something truly scandalous. He got married to his longtime boyfriend. No drama, no press circus, no PR stunt. Just two men in love, exchanging vows like regular human beings. But in the twisted logic of Hollywood, that simple act of honesty was apparently too much reality for the Dream Factory to handle. Almost overnight, the phone stopped ringing. The scripts dried up. That charming Hallmark Prince energy, suddenly out of circulation. The same industry that had built an empire selling fake love stories couldn't quite process a real one, at least not one that involved two grooms and zero damsels. Peter didn't lose his talent, he didn't lose his looks. What he lost was the illusion, and Hollywood loves illusions more than it loves integrity. For decades, audiences have been told to believe in perfect men who always find the perfect woman. The moment Peter proved that fantasy wasn't universal, he went from heartthrob to question mark. It's ridiculous, really. The man could act, sing, probably rescue a puppy, and look good doing it. But the system that once adored him suddenly labeled him too real. Not controversial, not rebellious, just authentic. And authenticity, in the image-obsessed machinery of Hollywood, is still the most dangerous thing you can be. What's wild is how gracefully Peter handled it all. No angry rants, no tabloid meltdowns. He kept working where he could, quietly shifting toward producing, mentoring young LGBTQ+ talents, and using his platform to support causes bigger than himself. He became a role model off-screen, proving that dignity is still a power move. Meanwhile, fans kept asking the same question. Where did he go? The truth? He didn't go anywhere. The spotlight just moved. He's still out there, gorgeous, married, grounded, a reminder that success in Hollywood isn't always about fame. Sometimes it's about survival with your soul intact. Peter Porte didn't fade out because he failed. He faded because he told the truth. And in an industry built on fantasy, truth is the one thing that doesn't test well. So the next time you stumble across a cozy holiday rerun and catch that perfect smile lighting up the screen, remember this: he didn't disappear. Hollywood just blinked. Before representation became a buzzword, before streaming platforms pretended to care about diversity, there was Randy Harrison, a baby-faced rebel who kicked open Hollywood's closet door with one fearless role. At just 22, he became Justin Taylor on Queer as Folk, the teenage artist who fell in love with an older man and refused to apologize for it. It wasn't just a TV role. It was a cultural explosion. Part revolution, part scandal, and all heart. When Queer as Folk premiered in the early 2000s, America was still clutching its pearls over same-sex kisses in primetime. But Randy? He didn't flinch. He dove headfirst into a character that showed queer love as bold, complicated, and unapologetically human. For millions of LGBTQ+ viewers, Justin Taylor was the moment. For Hollywood execs, though, he was a warning label. See, back then, there was no such thing as a successful out-gay actor in mainstream film. You could play gay, maybe, as long as you promised to balance it with a straight rom-com next year. But Randy? He didn't play the game. He was out, proud, and perfectly happy being known for a role that changed lives. Unfortunately, that honesty was the kiss of death in an industry built on illusion. After Queer as Folk ended, casting directors suddenly developed amnesia. Randy wasn't offered leads or even auditions for straight romantic parts. He'd walk into a room and you could practically hear the producers thinking, "Oh, that's Justin Taylor, the gay kid." Translation: thanks, but no thanks. He wasn't marketable anymore, not because he wasn't talented, but because everyone knew who he really was. It's almost funny in a tragic way. Hollywood could handle explosions, aliens, even vampires in love, but a gay actor who wouldn't hide? Too unrealistic, too niche, too honest. So Randy did what real artists do when the door slams. He found another stage. Literally. He went back to theater, where talent mattered more than branding. He toured with Cabaret and Wicked, bringing the same authenticity that scared TV producers to audiences who actually appreciated it. No CGI, no spin, just craft. And the best part, he never disowned Queer as Folk. While others might have tried to straighten out their image, Randy embraced the show that made him famous. He showed up for reunions, fan events, and interviews with zero shame. Because why would he be ashamed of being part of a story that helped people see themselves for the first time? 2 decades later, Hollywood is finally catching up to what Randy was doing in 2000, treating queer characters like human beings. But let's not forget who paid the price to make that possible. While others cashed in on token representation, he lived it, long before it was safe to. Randy Harrison didn't fade because he failed. He stepped back because he refused to lie. He wasn't erased, he evolved. The fame, the headlines, the glitz, they were never the point. What mattered was truth. So if you ever binge Queer as Folk and wonder why didn't that guy become huge, the answer's simple. He was already bigger than Hollywood's imagination. Because sometimes the bravest act in show business isn't pretending, it's staying exactly who you are. Once upon a Hollywood minute, Chris Salvatore was supposed to be the next big thing. He had the face, the charm, the voice that could melt a casting director's eardrums. Basically a walking leading man prototype with perfect cheekbones. When he burst onto the scene in the Eating Out film series, queer audiences lost their collective minds. Finally, a gay actor who wasn't a stereotype. He was funny, flirty, magnetic, and could sing like an angel who just discovered auto-tune. For a moment, it felt like destiny. Queer media called him the gay leading man Hollywood's been waiting for. Fans adored him, social media loved him, and every headline screamed, "Here comes the next breakout star." Chris was glowing, online, on stage, everywhere. And then, the glow dimmed. One day, the auditions stopped. The calls slowed. The same industry that had flirted with him suddenly ghosted him, and not the cute kind of ghosting where they text back 6 months later. What happened? Simple. Chris committed Hollywood's original sin, being too openly gay too early. He didn't wink and say no labels. He said it loud and proud. In interviews, in posts, in life, he was unapologetically himself. But back then, the system still ran on smoke and mirrors. You could be gay, as long as you kept it mysterious, marketable, and not too real. To studio execs, he was suddenly too gay for straight roles, too indie for mainstream, too visible to reinvent. Translation: he scared them. He represented a future Hollywood wasn't ready for, a handsome, confident gay man who wasn't willing to hide behind ambiguous branding. And so the machine did what it always does. It didn't cancel him. It just went silent. No pilot pickups, no second chance rom-coms, no Chris Salvatore, the Netflix heartthrob years. Just a quiet fade to black. But Chris didn't fade personally. He turned that spotlight outward. using his platform to fight for LGBTQ+ rights, to raise money for queer causes, and to take care of his elderly neighbor, Norma Cook, during her final years. That story went viral, not because it was glamorous, but because it was real. The guy who could have been a Hollywood prince became something rarer, a genuinely good human being. He kept making music, kept showing up online with that signature warmth and humor, and kept proving that fame isn't the only kind of legacy. Sure, he might not be headlining blockbuster rom-coms, but he's headlining hearts. And that's not nothing. It's ironic, isn't it? Hollywood preaches inclusivity, but panics when it actually sees it. Chris was what they claimed to want: authentic, talented, visible, but they couldn't figure out how to sell him without lying. So they didn't sell him at all. And yet he never disappeared. His fans didn't leave. His impact didn't fade. He's still here. Beautiful, bold, and still making noise in a business that tried to mute him. Because at the end of the day, Chris Salvatore didn't lose Hollywood. Hollywood lost him. Some actors play queer characters. Jordan Gavaris became one that people will never forget. When he burst onto screens as Felix Dawkins in Orphan Black, fans didn't just watch him, they adored him. Felix was sharp, hilarious, loyal, heartbreakingly human. The kind of character who could steal a scene, your heart, and probably your wallet, all while delivering a line dripping with sarcasm. He wasn't a sidekick. He was the soul of the show. For 5 seasons, Jordan was electric. That rare mix of wit, depth, and chaos that made Orphan Black impossible to imagine without him. So when the series ended, everyone assumed he was about to blow up. Prestige projects, blockbuster deals, maybe a Marvel cameo, it all seemed inevitable. But instead, crickets. No new headline roles, no big studio calls, just the eerie silence that comes when an industry decides you're too honest for its illusions. Because Jordan didn't play the Hollywood game, he called it out. In interviews, he talked openly about internalized homophobia in the business, how queer actors get boxed in, or worse, politely ignored unless they fit a certain mold. Straight passing, smiling, and silent. Jordan wasn't any of those things. He was outspoken, self-aware, and deeply allergic to fake niceties. He told the truth, and that's how you get quietly exiled in a town built on pretending. It's ironic. The guy who played one of TV's most beloved queer icons suddenly became too risky, too opinionated, too real. Hollywood doesn't blacklist you for being gay anymore, it just labels you hard to cast. Which is code for, you remind us we still have a problem. After coming out publicly in 2017, something he'd already been living privately for years, Jordan refused to water himself down. He wasn't going to play straight for the brand or smile through homophobic casting calls. And the industry noticed. Not in a good way. So instead of waiting for the phone to ring, he made his own noise. He started writing, producing, and mentoring other queer creators. He turned the rejection into fuel. Because if Hollywood wouldn't give him the stage, he'd just build one himself. Still, it's hard not to feel the sting of what could have been. Jordan had everything: talent, range, charisma, a fan base that actually cared. But in a business obsessed with image control, authenticity is treated like a contagious disease. He wasn't messy or scandalous, just honest. And that's apparently worse. Meanwhile, Orphan Black fans still talk about Felix like he's family. Because in a show full of clones and conspiracies, he was the most real thing on screen. He made people laugh, cry, and for many, feel seen for the first time. That's not something you can erase with silence. Jordan Gavaris didn't fade out. He walked away from a spotlight that demanded he dim himself. He's proof that in Hollywood, telling the truth won't make you famous, but it will make you unforgettable. And let's be honest, he probably sleeps better than half the A-listers still pretending. In 2021, a young British actor named Tom Pryor did something wild. He made a gay love story that didn't play it safe, didn't fade to black, and didn't apologize for existing. The movie was Firebird, and it wasn't just another indie romance. It was based on a true Cold War affair between two men serving in the Soviet Air Force. A story so risky that even 40 years later, Hollywood still wouldn't touch it without asbestos gloves. Tom didn't just star in it. He co-wrote it, produced it, and dragged it into existence through sheer determination and caffeine. He played Sergei, a quiet soldier who falls for a fighter pilot, and together they try to survive love in a time when being honest could get you imprisoned. The film was bold, heartbreaking, and beautifully shot, the kind of movie that makes you want to call your ex and cry. Critics praised it, queer film festivals adored it, and audiences whispered, finally. It was real, political, emotional, everything that should have launched a serious career. But instead of Hollywood rolling out the red carpet, it quietly rolled up the welcome mat. After the applause came silence. No studio deals, no franchise roles, no "From the Star of Firebird" trailers. Just polite claps and ghosted emails. Because Tom had made the mistake of being too authentic in an industry addicted to illusion. See, Firebird didn't fit the box. It wasn't queer light or safe for suburban comfort. It was raw, intimate, unapologetically romantic, and it didn't exist to make straight audiences feel comfortable. For Hollywood execs, that was a nightmare. They didn't know how to market two men in love in the Soviet Union unless one of them turned into a superhero by Act 3. Tom didn't help his case by refusing to play the game. He didn't label himself for clickbait or sell his soul to the algorithm. He let the work speak, and Hollywood hates that. If you can't be packaged, you can't be sold. Ambiguity isn't sexy to executives, it's confusing. So, while he should have been shaking hands at award shows, Tom was back in the theater, writing scripts and doing what real artists do when ignored, making more art. He started supporting queer causes, showing up at events not for publicity, but because he actually believed in them. It wasn't a fall from grace, it was a quiet act of defiance. And here's the twist. Firebird didn't die. It spread underground like a secret handshake. Fans shared it, streamed it, passed it along with DMs like, "You need to see this." For many, it wasn't just a movie. It was validation. A reminder that love, even forbidden love, deserves to be remembered. Hollywood may have ghosted Tom Pryor, but the community didn't. He became something better than famous. He became respected. Maybe he's not headlining blockbusters, but he lit a spark that can't be unseen. Because the truth is, Tom didn't disappear. He just stepped out of the frame and let his story do the talking. And honestly, in a town full of pretend heroes, maybe the real rebellion is telling a love story that's actually true. If Gen Z had a poster child for too real for Hollywood, it would be Brandon Flynn, the guy who walked into fame with a smirk, a sharp jawline, and absolutely no interest in playing pretend. He didn't need a superhero suit or a fake publicist romance. He had something way more dangerous: honesty. Brandon exploded onto the scene with 13 Reasons Why, the Netflix juggernaut that made half of America binge, cry, and then Google therapy. As Justin Foley's loyal best friend, he delivered the kind of performance that felt lived in, all vulnerability and fire. You could tell he wasn't just acting, he was channeling something real. Hollywood took notice. So did the internet. Suddenly, Brandon was that guy, young, talented, ridiculously good-looking, and ready to take over. And then he did the unthinkable. He came out, publicly, proudly, without a press team spinning it into a journey. No mystery, no vague statement about fluidity, just a simple truth. He was gay, he was happy, and he wasn't going to hide. Cue the record scratch. You could almost hear the studio executives sweating through their designer suits. The same system that posted rainbows every June suddenly didn't know how to market him. Too gay for the traditional leading man fantasy. Too attractive to play the quirky sidekick. Too outspoken to stay quiet. The irony? Brandon was exactly what Hollywood claimed it wanted. A confident, talented young actor living his truth. But once the red carpets were over and the rainbow flags came down, the silence got louder. Roles didn't dry up overnight, but the momentum shifted. Suddenly, he wasn't the next big thing. He was complicated branding. And here's where it gets almost funny. The same industry that hands out awards for authentic storytelling panicked when someone actually was authentic. Brandon didn't conform to the script. He wasn't playing the charming gay best friend or the tragic token. He was just himself. That's apparently too avant-garde for Hollywood's comfort zone. But let's give the man credit. He didn't fold. Instead of chasing approval, he leaned harder into his craft. He showed up in indie projects, lent his voice to queer advocacy, and kept proving that you can be proud and talented without fitting anyone's mold. While Hollywood tiptoed around him, Brandon turned into something rarer. A symbol of modern queer resilience. He's still here, still smirking at the camera like he knows something the rest of us don't. And maybe he does. Maybe he figured out the secret. Fame fades, but truth doesn't. In another timeline, Brandon Flynn would be the face on every billboard, the perfect crossover star. In this one, he's something better, a reminder that visibility comes with a price, but silence costs even more. So yeah, maybe Hollywood hasn't fully figured him out yet, but that's okay. Some stars don't need to fit in, they just burn brighter on their own terms. And Brandon? He's not waiting for permission to shine. He already is. Some actors chase fame. Jessup chases truth, which in Hollywood is the fastest way to end up ghosted by your own industry. He's not loud, not flashy, not the kind of guy who needs paparazzi following him out of Pilates class. But if you've ever seen him act, you know he's dangerous. The kind of performer who sneaks up on you emotionally, makes you cry, and then leaves you wondering why you suddenly want to read poetry. Connor started as one of those rare prodigies who could do everything. Act, write, direct, probably solve quantum physics if you gave him an hour. He broke out in Falling Skies and American Crime, where he didn't just play characters, he became them. Every line he delivered carried that quiet intensity that said, this guy isn't pretending. Critics called him a natural. Fans called him underrated. Hollywood called him, well, not much apparently. Because just when his career should have skyrocketed, he dropped a truth bomb that sent shockwaves through the PR universe. He came out as gay, gracefully, beautifully, and without a single ounce of apology. No drama, no press tour, no tearful sit-down with a talk show host. Just one honest post that read like poetry. He wrote about hiding parts of himself for years and finally choosing not to. It was powerful. It was brave. It was a little too real for an industry addicted to fantasy. Suddenly, casting directors couldn't quite place him. Too intense for the rom-coms, too sensitive for the action roles, too queer for the traditional leading man mold. You could almost hear the hesitation. He's incredible, but can audiences still believe he's in love with a woman? Spoiler, audiences can handle dragons, multiverses, and aliens, but apparently not a gay man playing straight. The irony is that Connor's talent is the exact thing Hollywood claims to worship. He's smart, introspective, and has range that makes most actors look like cardboard cutouts. But instead of getting handed blockbuster deals, he got the classic industry shrug, the one that says, we'll call you never. Did he crumble? Not a chance. Connor pivoted. He started writing and directing films that actually meant something. stories that didn't need explosions to have impact. He became an artist in the truest sense, the kind who builds his own lane instead of waiting for permission to drive. He also became one of the most respected young queer voices in entertainment, not because he's loud, but because he's real. He doesn't chase relevance, he earns it. Whether he's discussing mental health, queer identity, or the weirdness of growing up on camera, Connor speaks like someone who's seen the machine from the inside and politely decided, no thanks. And that's what makes him dangerous. Not scandal, not arrogance, but the quiet refusal to conform. Hollywood doesn't know what to do with that kind of authenticity. It can't sell it, it can't fake it, and it definitely can't control it. So yeah, Connor Jessup isn't starring in the next billion-dollar franchise, but he's doing something far rarer. He's building a career that actually reflects who he is. Because sometimes, the loudest kind of rebellion isn't screaming. It's whispering the truth and meaning it. If Hollywood had a yearbook, Miles Heizer would have been voted most likely to make you cry and then say sorry for it. He's got that disarming face, part indie heartthrob, part lost puppy, and a kind of quiet charm that makes you root for him before he even says a word. But here's the thing, somewhere between Netflix fame and authenticity, Hollywood forgot to keep his number. Miles first broke hearts as Alex in 13 Reasons Why, playing the most painfully real teen on television. He wasn't glossy, he wasn't fake. He was vulnerable in a way that made you uncomfortable and grateful at the same time. The kid could act. Not the overdone kind, but the kind that hits like a gut punch because you've been there. He became one of those rare actors who didn't need a monologue to make you feel something. Just one look, one pause, and boom, emotional damage. He had all the makings of Hollywood's next golden boy. Young, talented, and conventionally adorable with just enough chaos energy to trend on Twitter. But then, like a plot twist no one asked for, things got quiet. After the show ended, Miles came out publicly, gracefully, calmly, and without trying to turn it into a PR moment. He didn't need a red carpet declaration. He just told the truth. And just like that, the industry that had once paraded him as a rising star seemed to lose interest. The calls slowed down, the scripts got fewer, and suddenly this openly gay, emotionally intelligent actor became hard to cast. It's the oldest Hollywood trick in the book. Praise them for being brave, then punish them for staying that way. Miles wasn't scandalous, he wasn't messy. He just didn't play the game. No fake girlfriends, no forced mystery, no is he or isn't he tabloid bait. He was open, and that honesty turned out to be the least marketable thing in show business. Meanwhile, every fan who's ever watched him act knows the truth. Miles doesn't need a Marvel franchise to prove his worth. His strength is subtlety, his power is truth. But Hollywood still runs on illusions, and Miles is far too real for that. He's the kind of actor who should have been cast in award-season dramas by now. Instead, he's teaching us what quiet rebellion looks like. What makes it even better? He's still out there, doing his thing, modeling, making music, showing up for LGBTQ+ causes, and looking like he could single-handedly heal your childhood trauma with a single hug. The guy didn't fade out, he evolved. It's almost funny, Hollywood keeps begging for authenticity, then runs screaming when it sees it. Miles Heizer gave them everything they said they wanted: talent, beauty, honesty. The problem is, he gave it too soon. So maybe he's not headlining the next superhero flick or kissing Jennifer Lawrence on screen. Who cares? The fans never stopped watching. And the moment the industry catches up, he'll already be miles ahead. Because sometimes being forgotten by Hollywood is the best plot twist of all. If you believe real talent deserves real recognition, hit that subscribe button and join us, because stories like Miles Heizer's deserve to be heard. not buried. Every now and then, a TV show introduces a character so good-looking it makes you question your Wi-Fi connection. For 901 Lone Star, that character was Ronen Rubinstein, the firefighter with the jawline that cut glass and eyes that could probably extinguish flames. He wasn't just another pretty face on primetime. He was the heart of the show, both literally and emotionally. And just when audiences fell in love with him, Ronen went and did the bravest, most dangerous thing an actor in Hollywood can do. He told the truth. He came out as bisexual, calmly, confidently, no PR stunt, no spin, just truth. And instantly everything changed. Not for the fans, they adored him even more, but for the industry. Because while Hollywood loves rainbow logos in June, it still gets real awkward when someone actually uses one in real life. Before his announcement, Ronen was the perfect leading man prototype. Network TV adored him, fans swooned, casting directors took notes. He had that mix of action hero energy and rom-com charm, the guy who could save lives and steal hearts, all before the next commercial break. But after coming out, the same studios that once pushed him as America's next leading man suddenly got quiet. Like, we accidentally muted ourselves. Quiet. Apparently, being open about who you are still makes execs nervous. It's as if they're worried audiences can't tell the difference between an actor's personal life and the character he plays. Which, let's be honest, is ridiculous. Nobody asks straight actors if they can believably play gay, but the second a queer actor walks in the room, suddenly it's a marketing meeting. Ronen didn't let that stop him. Instead of apologizing for existing, he doubled down. He used his platform to support queer youth, advocate for mental health, and speak out about the hypocrisy of an industry that claims to love inclusion, as long as it's hypothetical. He didn't go for the headline, he went for the humanity. And maybe that's why his story stings, because Ronen should be everywhere. He's got leading man charisma, the kind of emotional depth you can't fake, and a social conscience that makes him even more magnetic. But Hollywood still prefers its heroes with mystery, not authenticity. Still, he's not playing the victim. He's too busy living the dream on his own terms. He's building community, telling stories that matter, and proving that visibility is its own form of rebellion. And through it all, he remains one of the most quietly powerful figures in the new generation of queer Hollywood. What's both tragic and hilarious is that studios are probably still holding meetings titled, "How do we market Ronen Rubinstein without saying he's bi?" Meanwhile, fans have already moved on. They don't care who he kisses, they care that he's real. Ronen didn't lose Hollywood's approval. Hollywood lost the plot. Because if being talented, authentic, and absurdly good-looking still counts as a career risk, maybe the system needs saving, not him. So next time you see him lighting up the screen or saving fictional lives, remember this. The man doesn't just fight fires on TV, he's been putting them out in real life, too. And honestly, he's winning. Hollywood might forget their names, studios might stop calling, but we don't. Because these men weren't just actors, they were truth-tellers in a town built on pretending. They showed the world what it looks like to live honestly, to love openly, to refuse to hide just to fit someone else's fantasy. They proved that being yourself is the most radical act you can pull off on a red carpet. Peter, Randy, Chris, Jordan, Tom, Brandon, Connor, Miles, Ronen. They didn't fade, they were silenced by a system that still hasn't learned how to handle honesty. But the thing about light is you can dim it, you can cover it, but you can't kill it. It finds a way. These are the stars who remind us that fame isn't the finish line. Integrity is. That sometimes disappearing from Hollywood's spotlight just means you're finally standing in your own. So if you believe honesty shouldn't cost a career, if you believe real stories deserve real voices, then hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and keep watching. Because every time we remember them, we make it a little harder for the industry to erase the truth. Thank you for caring. Thank you for listening. And remember, some stars don't fade. They just shine where Hollywood forgot to look.